It's Tuesday afternoon, and regular viewers of Crowdsource the Truth know that that means I'm live with Larry Nichols. Larry, how are you?
Hey, I'm here, buddy.
It's good to have you here.
Under a little pressure, but here.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm glad you're here with us. I'm glad that you've joined me to create this weekly show. You know, Larry, you've got a lot of viewers on Crowdsource the Truth. This is one of the consistently most viewed programs that I put out. And I'm not telling you anything you don't know when I say you're a controversial guy. There are, of course, those that love you. There are those that hate you. But, I mean, you've dealt with this all your life. I want to remind the people that are watching that if you're joining us weekly here on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern and 2 p.m. Central, when I'm always doing this show with Larry, and you know, whether you love Larry or hate him, if you're watching, you really should be supporting Larry, because like everybody, he's got his day-to-day expenses. We know that Larry is getting on in the years and his health is a constant concern. He doesn't have any other job per se, and even if you dislike what Larry says, if you're listening, if you consider this entertainment, if you consider this information, Larry deserves your support. You can go to nicholslive.com and you can read Larry's blog posts. He's got all kinds of information on there that we're talking about each week. But it is important that you contribute to Larry financially if you want to keep coming here and hearing this broadcast, because I could not do this show without Larry. And irrespective of your opinion of what he says, if you're listening to it, if you're getting something from the broadcasts, please consider joining Larry and helping to support him on PayPal. You can find the link on nicholslive.com/donate. You just click on the PayPal link and you log into your PayPal account and you can send Larry some money, which of course, we're living in a world where, you know, people want the truth to be free, Larry. A lot of people tell me that. I'd like food to be free. I'd like travel to be free, but unfortunately it's not. We all need money. So independent news resources, independent entertainment resources, whatever it is that you consider what we're doing here, we require your sponsorship. So please go to nicholslive.com and also to patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth so we can keep the show going. Larry, what's on your mind this week?
You know, Jay,
yeah.
Jason, let me say this. It's a bit frustrating, I know for you, it is for me and many others that are actually out here trying to fight.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite unbearable to believe that we have to throw everything we have into this fight, everything we have. And then there are those that sit back and listen to what we say, act on what we say, enjoy what we say, hate what we say, or whatever.
Yeah.
But I just don't think people put two and two together. We have to have help. Doing this does not pay.
Right.
It does not pay. We don't have jobs doing this, folks.
Yeah.
You know, I need your help today very badly. So if anybody out there can help with $5, $10, I've got to get $500 quick.
Mm-hmm.
Personal expense here. So if you can, please help. Now, Jason, today, what about today?
Yeah.
There is so much happening.
Yes.
And what scares me, you and I've talked about it, is the way they're using this invasion of our southern border. It's dominating the news, takes up all the news cycles.
Right.
And to somebody like me and you, Jason, we know when they're doing this sort of diversion, they're doing something behind the scenes that we're not seeing.
I agree with you, Larry.
They're up to something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, you're seeing the first volleys, folks, of what we have warned you was coming. When the Democrats take control of the House, everything will change. Now, I know there are people out there, Jason, that are saying, oh, no, they didn't get control of the Senate, so everything will be fine. No, you don't understand the system. President Trump cannot do the majority of the things that he has promised us he will do and is trying to do, with the House of Representatives in a position to block him at every turn.
Yeah.
They can hold up all types of votes on bills, on legislation. They will sink him in that regard. That is coming. You're seeing it already. Then you've got the pledge that they have tried to hide right before the election, that they're going to impeach President Trump. As soon as they take control of the House, they're going to impeach him. Well, they're moving on that right now.
Yep.
Right now. So, Jason, we're in one of the most perilous times of our nation. And the only thing that's going to save us out of this is for everybody listening to us today, every one of you listening to us today. We have got to engage, and we've got to become active. We cannot sit back and drink our coffee and listen to everything and then say, that bothers me, but there's nothing I can do. That's not true.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Larry, you know, it speaks to the name of this program, this channel that I've created, Crowdsource the Truth. I don't claim to have the truth. I don't claim to be telling people the truth. I'm searching for the truth. And this crowdsource method is, I mean, it's like Yelp, you know. If you go to a town and you don't know what restaurants are around, you look up on Yelp, and a lot of people have given reviews to restaurants. And to a certain extent, this isn't always correct, but if many, many people are pointing in a certain direction, it gives you a good indication of where you can follow. And what you and I have done here, I mean, this isn't a news broadcast in the traditional sense. We're not on the ground reporting from Tijuana as to what's going on with the border there and the migrant caravan that's approaching. You're a guy who's been around in politics for many, many years. You've known the Clintons personally. You've got insights and opinions that you're sharing with people. And you and I do this talk show. If people like listening to your opinions and your evaluations, irrespective of the things that you've done in the past, which you've told us yourself are sometimes objectionable, we're not talking about that. If there's things that have happened in the past that are prosecution worthy, we leave that to the criminal justice system. I think people are here to hear your opinions and hear your insights. And frankly, I find what you say insightful, entertaining, often funny in a dry, straight kind of a way. So I really appreciate having you here with us. And I think
let me ask you. Yeah. Let me ask you this, Jason.
Sure.
How long would you have me on if you knew I was telling the audience something that was not true? How long would you have me on?
I don't necessarily not have people on when I feel that they are saying things that are untrue, because I feel like and this is not to say that I'm doubting anything that you say, I just want the audience to understand the process a little bit better. Sometimes by interviewing people who are not being truthful to me, myself and the audience can learn quite a bit from those people. And again, I'm not saying that this is you, Larry. I'm just trying to help people understand this process, because you spoke, and you and I have spoken about how the news sort of corresponds with the political processes and operations that are ongoing to push these lies. Like, let's talk for a minute about Julian Assange, for example. We saw earlier today there's some kind of court hearing going on. Assange has been denied access to his lawyers. And I also want to talk about Dr. Corsi. And it seems like we're a little bit all over the place, but these things are related, because Robert Mueller, who is decidedly part of the government and the Justice Department as the special counsel and the former FBI director, he has been after Dr. Corsi for months, and they're accusing him of being involved in WikiLeaks. And the second Dr. Corsi challenged Robert Mueller's legal authority to do what he's doing, which I find to be a very valid and strategic move by the doctor, Robert Mueller
Absolutely.
didn't challenge what Dr. Corsi was saying. He immediately pivoted to Paul Manafort and started accusing him of some nonsense that's backed up here in The Guardian.
Let me tell you something. Robert Mueller, for anybody that doesn't know, when you're appointed special counsel, you're given purview. You're given authorities in specific areas. Does everybody understand that? This is a long-standing rule. If you're granted special counsel to investigate Larry Nichols, you can investigate Larry Nichols. You can investigate people around Larry Nichols as to their dealings with Larry Nichols. Let me tell you this. You cannot use that ruling, being special counsel, for example, to just in a cursory way attach Jason to me when you're really investigating Jason, trying to get something on him. That's outside of the purview of your limits and your appointment.
Right.
Mueller has spent millions and millions of our dollars outside of what he's legally allowed to investigate. So anybody, to be honest, anybody that is not directly connected to Russia and Trump, anybody that's brought in for anything under something else, Jason, they can walk away from it. They can walk away. He has no purview to do it.
Yeah.
But what gets you is, why do not the Republicans, quote unquote, why are they not acting on it? And here's the bad news, guys. If the Republicans, in this lame duck period we've got left, 2 weeks, if they don't cut the funding off to Mueller, cut it off, when the new Congress gets sworn in, there'll be no way to get him out. No way. And if somebody then challenges his legality of his purview, they'll just rewrite the order and leave it.
I would want to defer to some of our legal experts to get to the finer details of this, but it's my understanding that anytime a special counsel is appointed, it's got to be the investigation of a specific crime, not a fishing expedition like Mueller is on right here. So in other words, if somebody said...
That's exactly true.
Yeah, if somebody said, hey, Bill Clinton, what was Kenneth Starr investigating Bill Clinton for? Perjury under oath? Larry?
What was he being? Yeah, he was being investigated for lying.
Right. So perjury is a crime, right? So if someone lies under oath, that's a good indication that they're lying for a purpose. They're covering up something else. So if somebody asks him, hey, did you, what did he lie about? Having sex with Monica Lewinsky or something?
Well, it's about Paul Jones.
Right. So the investigation of him.
Lying about.
Right. So in other words,
let me give you a brief history of that.
Yeah.
When I met Paula, we talked. She wanted to know whether she should come forward. I told her no, that it would be too painful. But I said, we need you to, but I got to be honest, it's going to be horrible. Well, she, bless her heart, had the guts. She went forward.
Right.
Her attorneys, working with them, I told them, here's what you got to do, guys. Get Bill Clinton in a deposition. And in the deposition, I'll make him lie. They said, well, how do you know he will lie? I said, well, first off,
he's Bill Clinton.
Whatever he says is going to be a lie.
Right.
But I can give you the questions that will trigger him to go outside of his thinking, and he'll lie, and you got him. Well, they did, he did, and you see what happened.
Right.
So that's how that materialized.
Right. You know, as I look it
But
up
it
here
says-
on Wikipedia, Larry, it says that the Clinton versus Jones case was a landmark because it established that a sitting president doesn't have immunity
Yes.
from civil crimes, from civil litigation against him or her for acts that were done before taking office. So that's what they're trying to catch Trump in. But the problem is the special counsel investigation by Kenneth Starr was triggered by Clinton committing the crime of perjury. In this case, Donald Trump hasn't even been accused of a crime because collusion is not a crime. There's been no specific accusation. So in the case of the investigation of Bill Clinton, the trigger is he's lied. The investigation is, well, what did he lie about? Why did he lie about it? And if that then leads to, oh, wait a minute, he lied about it because he raped her, well, now the guy's committed rape and there could be criminal charges brought against him. The important difference is that Robert Mueller is on this massive fishing expedition, witch hunt, whatever you want to call it, to just investigate every single person who's ever spoken to or worked for Donald Trump in a desperate effort to try to find anything that they can do.
I mean, how can Mueller take our tax dollars on an investigation he's got to investigate Trump for collusion, etc., and spend that money prosecuting what's his name for something in 2003?
Manafort, yeah. Well, it's an excellent question. It's worth us exploring because I think we can kind of unravel this. It starts with the media campaign against President Trump. I mean, if you turn on CNN, if you turn on MSNBC, open the New York Times, even Fox, frankly, except for Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson and Judge Janine and a couple of other people there, it's all the media seems to be pressing out this negative information about Donald Trump to really sway the public opinion.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're working now for the 2020 presidential election.
Yes.
The point, though, is that you're making is so valid. I can tell you this, never in our history, never in our history have we ever seen the media nationally go all in basically as a political consultant and participant in fighting a president. They're destroying President Trump with the media selling lies that the media knows are lies, you and I know are lies, that they keep telling them over and over and over and over. And you know what the cumulative effect is? Hitler proved that, he and Goebbels. You keep saying it long enough, loud enough, and that's all they ever hear. You know what? One day it becomes true.
Right. Now, Larry, there's something else happening that I find rather insidious that I'm not sure even viewers of our show have quite absorbed yet. And, you know, of course, I wasn't alive, or I was a very young boy when the Church Committee hearings were happening and the Pentagon Papers, et cetera. But these were revelations that affected the collective consciousness of the American public, revealing hidden CIA programs. I mean, from speaking to people who were alive and watching movies and observing the culture, in the 1950s and the early 1960s, there was this sort of innocence where everything was, you know, leave it to Beaver and great. And the assassination of President Kennedy was a pretty clear demarcation where things shifted. And it's only in the 70s that we realized through Watergate, and I do believe that Archibald Cox was the first special counsel ever, wasn't he?
I couldn't tell you that.
Well, you're going to have to look that up. But the point I'm getting at is the manipulation of the news, the manipulation of perception. I mean, television was new. and not everybody really had a television. So the concept of this mass communication outside of the church or something like that, you know, newspapers, of course, but there's something quite mesmerizing about television in that it's a passive acceptance of information, where reading is more of an active kind of a thing. So we're well along in a very mature process here, many, many years later, and there are changes happening that, as I said, I don't think people are necessarily dialed into yet. Let's go back to our, well, I don't know if you know Dr. Corsi, but I consider Dr. Corsi a friend. I think he's a very trustworthy man, and I think that he was targeted first in social media and then by the Mueller investigation. And this is critical because Dr. Corsi is not on Fox News. He's not known as writing for the Washington Post. Dr. Corsi is a leader in the social media, alternative media world. And that is where he was initially targeted by some really ragtag, let's face it, losers who spread a lot of information about Dr. Corsi that in most cases really devoid of facts or involved manipulating facts and evidence to present partial evidence and twist things about him. And that was really a precursor to this attack from Robert Mueller. Larry, do you think that was kind of like a softening of the target?
Probably. Now, as far as your friend, I do not know him. I've had limited communication with him.
Corsi.
But I will tell you this, Corsi may end up having done a great service to the country. Whether he meant it in that way or not, I don't know.
I believe
but he has done what Republicans, leaders that are supposed to be representing us, were supposed to do. He is standing up, obviously, to Mueller and the legitimacy of his investigation, as I understand it. But
yes.
Now here's the trick. Folks, I went through this for 30 years. I've been called everything from con artist, crook, whatever you want to call me, and that's fine. Call me whatever. I don't even care anymore. But you should know, after Kavanaugh and his confirmation to the Supreme Court,
yep,
they took a story from a lady that made no sense.
Right.
Nobody could have believed it. Certainly not to the level of dialogue that it was generating in the media. And that's what they do to you. That's what they do to me, Jason. They will come at you. They already have, but then it gets worse. As you grow, so will their operatives come at you,
yeah,
to destroy your name.
Yep.
You see, it goes back to the days when there was only newspapers. And that day, Jason, people would say, well, if it's in the paper, it's got to be true or they'd be sued.
Right.
And there was probably a time, in the 1800s or whenever, that may have been true. That's not true today. Not anywhere near it today.
Yeah.
So now they're free to just literally take unsubstantiated propaganda, and as long as they have a willing media to work with, they will take that unsubstantiated information and make it real and pass it around to the public. Now, where would you go, Jason? Well, where does Corsi go? Where can Dr. Corsi go to get his true side of the story told to the masses of the people in America that are going to hear the ones they've told about him? Where's he going to go? Where can he go?
Yeah, it's difficult. He's got his own YouTube channel, and he appears on OAN, and I don't believe he's on InfoWars that much anymore, but Dr. Corsi is really thriving on social media, and we've seen how other allies like Laura Loomer, when people get too close to the sun, when people get too strong, they just shut them out. Laura Loomer was totally banned from Twitter, Larry. I don't know if I told you that.
No, they're not.
Remember when
But
she
I'll tell you
found those
this.
ballot boxes, Larry?
Right.
She
Right.
found the, right. So they didn't like it that Laura was doing a better job than all of CNN.
Well, let me tell you, the reason I know this is because I did it. We did it in Arkansas. See, when Bill Clinton was governor, Jason, that's what's so maddening about this. This is, on a national level, exactly what we did in Arkansas at a state level.
Yeah.
We could pick somebody out that Bill Clinton had, let's say, screwed or raped his daughter, farmer whose daughter got raped by Bill Clinton.
Jeez.
And was mad and was threatening to go public. We could go to the media, and if we would try, honestly, we would try to dig up something in his past that we could use on him. But if we couldn't find anything, you know what? Just made up something.
Right.
Then we'd take it to the media, and the media would print it as if it were true to the bottom line. They'd put it on the first page, top right hand of the front page. And people believed it. And then the poor guy that we ruined his reputation, ruined his business, ruined his relationship with his friends, ruined his family. Because you know what? When you put something bad in the paper or on TV, you know what's going to happen?
People believe it.
People are going to say, some of them are going to believe it, right?
Yeah.
Some are going to believe it, some are not. But when everything's said and done, 80% of the people are going to figure, well, maybe you didn't do what they said you did, Jason, but you must have done something, or they wouldn't have done. You know, you couldn't have been singled out like that.
Right. Right.
We did it. We did it over and over and over. They're doing it now. That's why you don't see me crying about what they did to me. I deserve it. They did it to me. I mean, I did it to people. That's why I don't cry about what they hit me with. I deserve
know the
it.
game.
You don't. Of course you don't.
Well, we're learning it, and it's why it's important that we talk about it. So let's go back to this connection between Dr. Corsi, the implied connection between Dr. Corsi, WikiLeaks, and Paul Manafort. Again, they've demonized Paul Manafort in the press for months now. I don't know Paul Manafort. I'm not trying to defend Paul Manafort. He might be a bad guy for all I know. Maybe he embezzled money. Maybe he did, you know, who knows what. But the point of the matter is the guy is still deserving of a defense. So we saw that as soon as Dr. Corsi challenged Robert Mueller's legal authority, which was such a strong counterpunch by the doctor, I can't overemphasize how proud I am of Dr. Corsi and how pleased I am that he did that. We didn't see Robert Mueller come out and have a press conference and say, hey, this is, you know, not true, or here's the evidence, or, you know, double down and say, no, we're going to, you know, this was one of these situations, Larry, where they were trying to force Dr. Corsi to a plea deal. And, you know, on Monday nights at 7 p.m., we've started doing a show with Brian Vukadinovich called the Counter Lawfare Report. And that is a super important show because what Brian does is he dissects these cases where judges and police and the Justice Department are trying to use the law as a weapon against people, and these plea agreements are exactly that. Dr. Corsi did not lie to investigators in the special counsel's office, but in order to relent, in order to get them to stop with this ongoing legal assault, which costs Dr. Corsi money to defend whether he's done something wrong or not, they said, all right, Dr. Corsi, sign this thing that says you lied and we'll charge you with this little crime, and then we'll stop. But the other thing that they were trying to do, Larry, is they were trying to get him to commit a felony in doing that, and I guarantee the next thing they would have done is bring that felony charge against him. They're trying to load up a bunch of crap on Dr. Corsi to just knock him out of the box, even though he hasn't done anything wrong. And I'm sure something very similar happened to Michael Cohen. The same kind of thing is going on with Manafort. But the interesting point is they didn't come back and challenge Corsi. They just dropped Corsi for the moment and went right to Paul Manafort with this ridiculous article in The Guardian, which we've seen, that says Manafort held secret talks with Assange in the Ecuadorian embassy, sources say. Now, right away, WikiLeaks came back saying that the Guardian journalist Luke Harding behind the fake Manafort story also claimed the NSA was secretly deleting his words, and he won Plagiarist of the Year. So WikiLeaks is challenging this assertion. I don't think the Guardian has presented any evidence. 90 minutes after the publication, the Guardian modified its secret meeting to add sources say. So they've changed the article already. They're backpedaling. I mean, this is another case of fake news. We've seen a lot of people come out of the woodwork with fake accusations against all kinds of people, and the game seems to be, depending on how big you are, I mean, if you're Jason Goodman, the accusations are in social media. If you're Dr. Corsi, they start in social media and then they graduate to mainstream media. And if you're Donald Trump, they just go right to mainstream media right out of the gate.
That's right. Look, how many stories, if y'all can think about it, how many stories have you heard about Donald Trump that supposedly came from an unnamed source, but it's a source high up in his cabinet or his administration? Right. But then, you know what, folks? You ever hear any of them coming true? The stories that they made up?
Right.
No.
Right.
They don't care how it resolves itself. They want the accusation. That's what Corsi's in the middle of now. They want the accusation against Corsi. If Corsi signs a plea deal,
right,
every time for the rest of that man's life and from then on after he's gone, when his name is mentioned, it will always be convicted felon.
Correct.
And by saying that, his credibility's shot.
Right. And you know, Larry, people are in the comments section here telling us that there would obviously be video of Paul Manafort entering the embassy. We didn't see anything. If they showed us a surveillance camera screenshot of Paul Manafort going into that embassy, and also, they've been after Paul Manafort for 2.5 years. Why do they suddenly come out with this accusation the day Dr. Corsi challenges Robert Mueller's legal authority, the day that Julian Assange hearing is happening in Virginia? It's just obviously ridiculous. It's just like people who claim that I'm a Mossad agent. Somebody told John B. Wells that I work for the CIA. They just want to plant that seed of doubt. And boy, I've got Larry Klayman calling me right now, but I don't want to put Larry on live without him knowing that we're live. He would be a good addition.
You can, if you want to, talk to him a second and see if he will join us. That'd be wonderful. But I will tell you this, folks, it's scary. It's scary when you think about the full force and power and money of the United States federal government and what it can bring to bear against anybody.
Right.
Dr. Corsi, Manafort, any of them. You can start out with $50 million in the bank. You can be wealthy. You can be on the top 100 wealthiest in the world list.
Mm-hmm.
And in no time, you will be stripped bare of your money. Just in legal fees, just in the things you have to do, just to try to meet the motions, meet all the things that you have to fight. That's not spending money to help your case. That's just putting up with dealing with the motions. See, one of the games they play, Jason, is, that's why I wish you had Larry on. One of the games they play, they'll send you a motion, a question, and you got 10 days to respond and answer it through the court.
Right.
Now, if you don't in 10 days, then you're guilty of it.
Default, right.
So what they'll do, they'll white paper you to death. These big firms, they'll come at you and they'll send you 20 different motions in a day.
Yep.
And for you to respond, you've got to go and dig up the history of it. You got to dig up this, and this. And it's impossible if you're not big enough. It's impossible to meet those deadlines laid on you by the court.
Well, this is exactly lawfare. You're describing lawfare. You literally admitted guilt, or you've given up. They have weaponized law. They have weaponized our legal system, and you'll notice
on this thing President Trump's trying to do on the border. What did they do again? They went to a Obama-appointed judge in the Ninth Circuit, and of course that judge put a quash on whatever it was Trump was trying to get put in place. Every time Trump tries to do something, if they can't win one way, they'll go to the court. That's where the Black Robe mob came from.
Exactly. Larry, do you remember the story of the CEO of Quest, which was a telecommunications company? This was first brought to my attention by Bill Binney, the guy who was the CEO of Quest, who, I don't know if he's the richest guy in the world, but he surely has a lot more money than I do. Joe Naccio, he basically refused the NSA's demands to provide, some kind of information about all of their customers. They wanted to basically spy on everybody and install NSA hardware. They did it to AT&T, they did it to Verizon, and Quest refused to do it. So Joe Naccio was thrown in jail. And in this article that I'm showing from the, I think it's the Denver Business Journal, he's speaking from prison about the broken justice system, and he's talking about exactly what we're saying. And as you point out rightly, even if you're super rich, the government, because, they got these lawyers, they can just have them go forever. And I know you can't see right now, Larry, but I'm holding up just a portion of the documentation that's been sent to me for some of these basically fraudulent lawsuits that have been brought against me. I don't know if people know about this. I've been kind of holding off on talking about it too much because every time I say anything, it triggers another move from the people that are doing this. But it's really obvious what's going on. And, they like to make websites and YouTube broadcasts about how great they're doing with these lawsuits in the same way, the same exact way that CNN, the New York Times, the Washington Post, it's, everything that's happening there is happening here on YouTube and in social media on a microcosm kind of a scale.
Well, you can know the truth without having to ask anybody because nobody's going to tell you the truth. Just go by what you see. Go by what you see. When they brought in the guy from YouTube before Congress, and they were all going to be tough and huff and puff, when they bring him in, they do whatever they did in that hearing. But here's the answer. They always look for this, folks, and it'll always tell you the truth. It'll never lie to you. Look at what happened. What happened to him? What did they do to him? Nothing. Nothing. What came from that hearing? God knows how much that cost. What came from that hearing? Do you know?
Probably nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And it goes on and on and on. I can just give you case and case and case. This is why I've told y'all that it was a soft coup.
Yeah.
The key element in a soft coup is you don't surround the Capitol and the present government with tanks and military. What you do is you get control of the media.
Right.
And then, when you've got control of the media, if you've got control of the courts, right, if you've got control of the judges, you're in business. Because nobody's going to catch anybody unless the media does. But if the media refuses to print or tell the truth, nobody knows it.
Right. Now, Larry, you asked me something at the top of the call about would I continue having you on the show if I thought you were lying. Now, if I knew somebody lied to me and if I knew that they did it with a specific intent to hurt me or hurt the public or put forth something that was damaging, the answer is, of course, I would stop having that person on the show. And people have seen that happen many times. There are a number of liars out there who have been kicked off of Crowdsource the Truth and don't appear anymore. And again, I say, irrespective of things that have happened in the past, people should listen to what you're saying now and decide if this sounds like the truth or a lie, and they can only decide for themselves. I think what you're saying on this program makes a lot of sense, and I want to share with you some of the comments that are coming in right now. I have a new multi-chat system here, Larry, that lets me consolidate all of the comments from both of the YouTube channels and from Periscope. So we've got Texas Blue questioning that we're saying that it's fake. He or she says those indictments and guilty pleas are real. So I just want to clarify one thing. An indictment is simply an accusation. And you can basically indict a ham sandwich. That's a famous legal term that means you could basically accuse anybody of anything. Now, a guilty plea may be real, but what we're talking about is this lawfare tactic of indicting somebody for something, sending them a legal case that is like more of a workout than, going to a gym, and as you said, papering them to death. And this is not a criminal indictment. This is a ridiculous civil suit, just one of the civil suits that's been brought against me that is filled with false statements and ridiculous stuff. But what happens is they overwhelm the person, and a plea deal is when they say, we're going to make a deal with you. Plead guilty to this fraudulent indictment, and we'll stop. And most of the time, people take it. Dr. Corsi has shown us, with his courage and integrity, that he refuses to agree to saying that he did something that he did not do. So just because someone pleads guilty doesn't mean that the charges are real. It means that they may have been forced into doing something.
That's right. It's called mitigating circumstances. And what you're seeing with Dr. Corsi, as you have seen with others, Papadopoulos or whatever his name is, and all the others, it's called suborning perjury.
What is it called?
To the person that sent in the text thing. Suborning perjury is when Mueller and his people, him or his people, that's where they leverage something into making a person sign a statement.
Right.
They don't care if it's true. They don't care if it's a lie. They don't care. What they want from that statement is for it to fit their needs in their case. You got it?
Yeah.
That's what they want. Something that fits their need for their case.
Yep.
And far too many times, people who have run out of money, who are destitute now, who are scared because the whole world has caved in on them, far too many times they say okay and they agree to it, only to find out that when the government gets through, the government doesn't live up to their part of the deal.
Oh yeah, we've heard about that from Kevin Shipp. They basically they didn't force Kevin Shipp into a plea agreement, but rather they had a settlement with Kevin Shipp because the CIA was denying him his pension and various other things. So he made a settlement with the CIA, and then the CIA reneged on the settlement deal and basically just said, tough TS, as they say in the business. And Kevin was faced with either, well, now we got to go back to court, or, I mean, how do you get the CIA to uphold their deal if they're refusing to do it?
You got it. You don't. How do you do anything, Jason, when all of your money is gone, everything in your world has been hocked or whatever pledged, you've had to do everything just to keep things going. You're down to nothing. What option do people have, Jason, with the government? What option?
There's none, and it's not only the government. We see amateurs engaging in this lawfare. There's somebody else, Larry, who's become a regular guest and a friend of the show, a gentleman by the name of Michael Barden, who's been wrongfully accused, according to the evidence presented so far, and according to Michael, who I trust. He's been wrongly accused of aggravated something or other with a firearm, and he was put in this situation where he was offered a plea deal. His lawyer failed to demand exculpatory evidence from the prosecutors. There was police body camera footage, but only the audio was provided. The prosecutor and the defense attorney both have an obligation to present the evidence if they know that it would prove that Michael is innocent, and they failed to do that. Now, the same person that sent me all these pieces of paper in this civil suit has, for some unknown reason, decided to interfere with Michael's criminal case by putting psychological pressure on Michael by emailing his lawyer and telling him that Michael's appeared on this show to talk about the case. Michael's free to do that. Even if somebody thinks that's unwise or not a strategic move, Michael is free to do that, and he's free to criticize his lawyer. But this person who's not involved with the case, who called the lawyer and told the lawyer that Michael's talking about him, really interfered with Michael's psychological well-being, and he did it the day before the hearing at which Michael was to accept or reject the plea deal.
Well, that brings to fold another area. We all had great hopes with the internet, with all of this, what do you call it, where people can talk to each other, social media, whatever you call it.
Social media.
Social media. We all had hopes. You know, finally we've got an answer, something to combat the mainstream media in their lives.
Right.
Well, who would have believed, other than a few of us, that could only last for a little while until they rigged it too. Now, the social media, for everything that comes out good about you, if you're messing with them, if you're irritating them, beware. For everything that comes out good for you in the social media world, there are going to be these troll type folks that are going to just put stuff out left and right, negative accusations. Here we go again with these stories that are just made up. But guess what? It works. I see that every day.
Yeah. It's really bad. It's really bad, Larry. I think people are getting smart to it, though. People are wising up, and you know, that's why I like to talk about it. You know, part of it is they like to send these, you know, garbage mongers who like to spread garbage around the internet and try to proliferate falsehoods, and they try to rely on small pieces of evidence that are suggestive of something and then attach a bigger, less accurate explanation to some small piece of evidence, or present a lot of evidence about one thing and then make an accusation about something else, and they conflate these things so that people watching are confused, and you know, they take advantage of the fact that they can address thousands of people at a time. It's exactly what The Guardian is doing.
That's right.
They just put out a false statement, and everybody runs with it.
And isn't it amazing? Out of 38 major scandals, I hate to go back in history, but out of 38 major scandals against Bill Clinton that got him impeached, from Jennifer Flowers, Paula Jones, all the way up to Monica Lewinsky, all of that, out of 38, 37 of those scandals were brought out by me. They all came from me.
That's great.
Now, then it's been proven, even at the time when people said you're crazy, that can't be true, I'd say, well, just hang on, and it turned out to be true. Isn't it odd that after 30 years of my track record, forget about who I am or what you think about me, look at the track record of what I had told people was coming, and it did.
Yeah.
You would think there would be some level, Jason, of credibility, wouldn't you?
Well, you'd hope.
But instead, there can be some no-name person that we don't know who they are. Nobody knows who they are.
Fake names.
They can put out some crazy story and people gravitate to it like it was ice cream.
Right. Well, look at this, Larry. I mean, you know, we've got The Guardian putting out the story, and then that spreads like wildfire. So the Associated Press can say, oh, there's a report that says Manafort met with Julian Assange ahead of 2016 leaks. Now, this is very clever, because what this does is this absolves the Associated Press of any responsibility, because it's an unequivocal fact that there is a report that says this. Whether or not the report is true, well, that's up to the person who made the report. But this just says a British newspaper alleges that Paul Manafort secretly met with WikiLeaks. Now, most people will see this and just take away from it, Manafort met with Julian Assange. And they've spent so much time throughout the course of the past 2 years, linking Julian Assange to Russian hackers, although there's no proof of that, keeping Julian Assange locked in the Ecuadorian embassy in London. People talk about the fact that I went to London to try to go to the Ecuadorian embassy, trying to link me in some way. I wanted to meet with Julian Assange, but Julian Assange would not meet with me or even acknowledge that I was there, because I'm sure Julian Assange thinks that everybody is trying to kill him. And I think he's right. I wasn't, but
he's probably very close to right, if not right.
Yeah, yeah.
But you see, they have taken the art form of circle reporting.
Yes.
And they use it now. Now it's coordinated. Used to, when I was working Clinton over, I could catch them and use it myself on them.
But tell us what that is, circle reporting, Larry. Tell us what circle reporting is.
I'm sorry?
Tell us what circle reporting is.
It's exactly what you're talking about. It's where one media source prints a story. Maybe bogus as a $3 bill.
Right.
But the fact that that media source broke a story, now on every major media, they say, you know, that comes from an article, you know, saying that he did whatever. So
they're reporting, they're re-reporting what these other guys say.
Right. See, but in my day, they didn't work together. This time, what I see is different. The mainstream media work together. It's like they're a giant cabal with the DNC, the Democrats, the progressives, and the media. Now, they coordinate stories. They coordinate circle reporting. They coordinate, you know, CNN this time, you do the lead story, and then when you put it out, we'll come and back you up. And then CNN, since they broke this bogus story, but when everybody else picked up the bogus story, right?
Right.
Well, now CNN's covered because they can say, well, everybody else has done the same thing we did. They found what we found. They didn't find anything. They didn't do anything. And just put your story back out.
Right.
It's just a scam.
Right. And it becomes, I mean, essentially the truth, right? Everybody sees this all over the place. They're desperate to discredit WikiLeaks, aren't they? I mean, I think that in and of itself is quite telling. The harder they try to discredit a source, perhaps we should all consider that there's a reason for that. They're trying to discredit WikiLeaks because the information that WikiLeaks has brought forward is so damaging, and they want everyone to not believe it.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And if they can't damage you on fact, they will make it up in fiction, but through the art form of strategies with the media, circle reporting, etc., they can make something come out and appear to be true.
Yeah.
And remember, the American public, hey, how much we used it. We got so good at it that, Jason, we could tell you, you write this headline. Headline said, Jason Ewan robs banks on Sunday. Headline, robs banks on Sunday.
Yep.
And it's the top headline everywhere. Did you know, if you don't really put the real rest of that is, you know, it says Jason Ewan robs bank on Sundays, as a drunk that was laying on the side of the road told somebody, which made it totally ridiculous.
Right.
They don't put that out until way down in the story. You know why? Because they know most people read about the first paragraph or two of a story, and then they break off of it.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, I mean, you know, this is no game. This is real. They know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
What we have to do, what we have to do, Jason, and why I'm here, and the reason I asked you about would you throw someone off, including me, if you knew I was out peddling untruths?
Right.
You would.
I would.
You would. I know you would.
Yes.
Now, you would try to get it straightened out, I'm sure, before you had to take such an action, but you would.
I would.
Your program means too much to you. Your program means too much to our country. We don't have many programs like yours, and they're getting less and less. Why? because of what I have to do today. You know, beg people for money, right? I got to beg for money. That's what's causing these publications, these different groups that have been fairly true and good and about getting information out. All of a sudden, it seems like they're changing and putting out a lot of propaganda. It's because they're having to rely now on sugar daddies to give them money because they're not getting support from the viewers.
But let me correct you for a second, Larry. Pardon me for correcting you, but I don't think you're begging for money. What we're doing is we're sharing with the over 1,000 people that are watching us right now the factual information that this video is not going to be allowed to be monetized by YouTube. And I don't pay you to appear on this show. I don't want to have financial influence over what you say. YouTube, I don't want them to have financial influence over what I say. I don't want a major corporate sponsor to have financial influence over the show. I want the over 1,000 people who are watching right now who get information from you and from me, who help clarify their understanding of these events by listening to you and listening to me. I want them to understand that you have no way of continuing to do this if you don't get the support of the people watching, and likewise, I don't either. So we're really trying to do a couple of very complicated things. We're trying to change the paradigm of how information is received. It's not an advertiser-driven, corporate-sponsored, billionaire-owned situation. This is a, you know, I think everybody recognizes that I'm doing this show with cell phones and we're putting it out over free platforms for the most part. So we really do need viewer support to keep the show going. Now, Larry, we're almost out of time here, but I do want to circle back to the topic that I had titled to today's show after, which of course is will the Clinton Foundation finally be brought to task? And of course, I think everybody knows that there is a hearing scheduled for December 5th, where the House is going to hold a hearing into the Department of Justice's probe of the Clinton Foundation. This seems unprecedented in a number of ways. What can you tell us about this, Larry?
Well, it is unprecedented, as you say, in many ways. My opinion, folks, will take it for what it is I know anytime you're matching the Clinton and the Clinton Foundation has millions of dollars they have spread around Washington, the congressmen, the senators, etc. And I do not believe that there will be any kind of substantive investigation that's going to come out of it.
What do you mean?
It's going to have to be independent. I mean, anything real is going to. It's going to be another one of those. It's going to be another one of those hearings where everybody huffs, puffs, get their 15-second soundbite that they can run in their markets whenever they run their campaign, showing they were tough. But nothing's going to happen.
So
the only thing that's going to stop. Sorry.
You don't have a lot of hope that this is going to be a breakthrough, this hearing?
No. Well, there is a breakthrough in the fact that we are getting one. This is my hope. I mean, this is what gives me hope, Jason. If it weren't for the hope I get from the fact that it was your audience, it was the people that voted for Trump, it was middle America engaging in electing Donald Trump. That massive noise that was made, that shot that was fired, that so many people heard, that has forced Congress to have to do things they would just rather not do. And they're going to have to find a way to cover it up. So I have hope. I have great hope that if we'll all work together, one of the things on my website that they'll soon see is I'm putting a letter together for President Trump. And I'm inviting him to let us help. You, me, your audience. Let us help. We're going to have to start spreading the word. Face it, face reality, folks. The media is not going to put the truth out about President Trump, his programs, what's going on the border, any of it. They're not going to tell it. So how's it going to get out? We're going to have to go to what I've seen all over the world. We're going to have to go person to person, and it can be done, and it can be done fast, and they can't stop it.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's important that people go to nicholslive.com and follow your blog there. They can, of course, donate to help Larry financially. Larry couldn't keep coming on this show and sharing his insights with us if he's got to worry about where his next dollar is going to come from. So if you're enjoying Larry's insights, if you're watching the show, and we've got well over 1,000 viewers right now, I hope that you will go to nicholslive.com and support Larry so we can continue this show week by week. And of course, I appreciate all the generous sponsors on patreon.com. We've got a number of exclusive shows on there. You can go to patreon.com/crowdsource the truth. Larry, thanks so much for joining me again this week.
Well, once again, let me say to the folks, if anybody can help today, it's go to PayPal, nicholslive@aol.com. nicholslive@aol.com on PayPal.
There you go.
And I'll say this, Jason. Folks, when Jason and I first met, we agreed to do this program. And I've been honored that we have kept it going, and we're going to keep it going. But Jason has been a fighter, and we have got to fund his program, because to be honest, y'all, I don't know of another one out there like it. And you're talking about a fine connoisseur of talk programs and all of this kind of stuff, because I guess I've been on all of them 100 times. This is where we have the greatest chance of building an army of resistance with the truth, right here. And thank you, Jason, for that opportunity.
Thank you, Larry. I appreciate having you on the show. I think we've had some really insightful conversations, and today was a great one for sure. You know, through the end of today, Larry, I've got a special offer going on patreon.com/crowdsource the truth. People can go there, and if you become a sponsor for $25 per month or more, you're going to get a free coffee mug of your choice. I realize $25 is a lot, but that's why I'm offering that free coffee mug. There's a lot of exclusive programming on patreon.com/crowdsource the truth. In addition to all the regular shows that we do, people will get access to Discord when they sponsor at $5 per month or more. And we've got a show with Ole Damagard that's exclusive to Patreon. We've got More Pain. We've got the intelligence assessment with Kevin Shipp. We've got David Hawkins doing reverse engineered crime scene investigations. So there's a lot of great programs there on patreon.com. I want to thank my guest today, Larry Nichols, and remind everyone to go to Nichols Live. Support Larry. We'll be back next week. Larry, be well. I'll speak to you soon, okay?
Sounds great. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you. Take care. Thanks for watching, everybody.